You know, we're not the Razorback Touchdown Club. We're the Little Rock Touchdown Club. But, boy, they sure are nicer when the Razorbacks win, isn't it? Finally. We've got a great program today. Really looking forward to hearing Jay. How many of you enjoyed Heath Schuler last week? Was he not outstanding? Well, I bragged on Jay what a great group we have, and he's going to be outstanding. I can tell just with my visiting with him last night. Before we get Gary up here, we have several people to introduce throughout the meeting today. I want to start with one. I think last year we introduced a gentleman who was 90 who was here. And this is a guy that I've forgotten that Little Rock ULR used to play football. And this gentleman is 86 years old. He played in the Rose Bowl in 1949 for Little Rock Junior College versus Santa Anita. Let's give it for Stanley Goldberg. Stanley, stand up. Let's give you a round of applause. 1949 Rose Bowl. I was going to ask him to come speak, but he was cussing like a sailor describing the game. I was like, my goodness, Stanley, your 86 is just as spicy as ever. And then I wanted to mention two of our great members. They're in the back. I think they hold the record. Every meeting, they drive 2 hours and 15 minutes from Magnolia. Every meeting to be here. Paul and Jim, stand up back and let's give them a round of applause. 2 hours and 15 minutes. They rarely miss a meeting. So some of you didn't have to drive that long. Some of you are 86. We all have a lot to be thankful for today. So, Gary, come up and lead a word of prayer, please.
Thank you, David. I don't know about you guys. Saturday night, one of my favorite things to see was the other team's fans leaving the stadium before the game was over. I'm tired of ours doing it, but it was nice seeing somebody else. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the day you've given us to enjoy, serve you, and serve others. Thank you for the food, and use it to give us strength today, and use it in every possible way throughout the day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Gary. We knew Arkansas was going to win on Saturday because where's our man? Tommy Smith hits a hole-in-one, his first ever on Friday. Stand up, Tommy. Hole-in-one for Tommy Smith. How about that? No, this is a legit deal. Got to say, so proud of him and Roger Scott from the Buzz. I get messages throughout the week and say, hey, listen, I'm struggling with alcohol. Will Roger and Tommy talk to them and make phone calls? It's amazing how their lives have changed and helping others going through some tough times, what they've been through. So I love it. Like Tommy got a hole-in-one, and we hope it's not the first one, and not the last one, rather. And it was a sign for me that we were going to win this weekend. Next Friday, we have Stephen Jones, the Cowboys, coming in. I hated the Cowboys lost it last night. If you watched the game, it was really, they had the game won. Just sort of gave it up. And, of course, they'll be playing the New England Patriots Sunday. So we'll have Stephen. And for those of you who know, Stephen is a son of Jerry, and I played with Stephen at Arkansas. And he really is a lot of the brains of the operation. Last year we had Charlotte, who was outstanding. So let's bring out a big crowd for Stephen and really show him some appreciation being a local guy and doing well. Remind you, after the meeting, please, too, RSVP. Great crowd here today. Thank you for being here. But remember, go to the website and RSVP for us. For those of you who want to get your picture made with Jay and our speakers afterwards, just bring up your yellow ticket. And if you're not a sponsor or a 50-yard line member, just let those folks get their picture made, and then we'll take care of you. I want to mention the James Street Award is coming up in just a couple weeks. Mac Brown coming in. And, boy, will that be an interesting meeting. I'm sure Mac will be completely, first class. And I'm sure he'll touch on the Texas situation, but he's coming in honor of James Street and our award, and we'll have a high school player from each high school. So make sure and be here. We want a big crowd for that, just like it was last year, but Mac Brown will be great. I want to remind you, too, the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame is coming up. Go ahead and go to the website and get your tickets now. Just go ahead and get it, because it is an all-star lineup. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a great group of honorees that we want to make sure and have a big crowd for. I do want to thank our great sponsors, Twin City Limousine, which is owned, by the way, by Greg Hatcher, who was very helpful in getting here with our travel. So I do want to thank Greg Hatcher not only for Twin City Limousine and what they do and all of our speakers, but for helping us with Jay today. Little Rock Convention and Visitor Bureau, we're proud to be called Little Rock Touchdown Club. Thank you to Gretchen and David Russell. 103.7 The Buzz, we appreciate Steve Johnson and Justin Acree. CJRW, Richard McEwen handling our PR for the Cliff Harris Award. Epic Health, guys, continue to make sure you go by and get that free $1,600 checkup. It could save your life. Thanks to the folks for Epic Health sponsoring us and the Buzz over here before each meeting. Thank you, guys. Farm Bureau Pulaski County, one of our new sponsors, Shauna Hopper and Stephen Reichard. Where are they at? We've got a bunch of agents over here. If you need any insurance writing, they'll do it right here today, right here in this section. We thank Farm Bureau of Pulaski County, multi-line insurance company, and let them do some of your business if you can. Wendy's Nan Trout, thank you, Wendy, so much for sponsoring our Hampton and Willie Rofe Awards. She's been a solid sponsor for 3 years. We thank Wendy's for that. I see Judy Henry's here. Where's Judy? Judy's here, Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, our law firm here at the Little Touchdown Club. Thank goodness, if something ever was to happen, we've had some people fall off the back of their stages here the last couple of years. Thank goodness we have Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings taking care of us. Matter of fact, Judy, I think maybe you should do some railing on the back of that deal where I don't have to defend you in court in a couple of years. So thank you for your support of the Cliff Harris Award for the Touchdown Club, Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Crane Automotive, Larry Crane, thank you so much for their support. Make sure they have 9 dealerships. Make sure when you go by there when you're shopping around and say, listen, remember the Touchdown Club. Michael said to come by and give you a good deal, which I know they will. So we appreciate Larry Crane and Drew Dees and the guys at Crane Automotive. Also, to the Democrat Gazette, we'll be introducing our Democrat Gazette Player of the Week here in just a minute. Hold on just a second, Brockton. You're good. Hold on, buddy. This guy, we got to, listen, there's going to be, between Jay and this guy right here, we could do a People Magazine layout. You 2 model-looking guys up here. We'll get to Brock here in just a second. Do want to thank Wally Hall, the Democrat Gazette, and Amanda Copley for their support. And Simmons Bank, our presenting sponsor, who gives us the ability to bring in great speakers. Adam Mitchell, I know we appreciate your support. You're going solo today. Barry Ledbetter was supposed to be here. He's not here in the high-level meeting. And George Macris is not here. It's like you guys got to run a billion-dollar company or something. I'm not sure what the deal is, but we do thank Simmons Bank for taking us to the next level. They're a great presenting sponsor. Let's give all of our sponsors a round of applause, if you will. Jay, one of the reasons we're one of the best touchdown clubs in America, we got a great touchdown club team. We got great sponsors. Matt Johnson back there. I tell you, if you want to text right now, Jay, your wonderful wife, Sarah Evans, country music star, and say, honey, if you want to see my speech live, you can go to lrtouchdown.com. So she can actually watch you live and give you a grade on it. Or she's too busy with y'all 7 kids, right? Okay, true. She goes, well, you're over there talking. I'm taking care of the kids. So I want to thank Matt Johnson for his work for us. Dwayne Duncan, always doing great photos. Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate all these years of working with us. Brent Passmore, who does our website. Thank you, Brent. Now, Jayhawk's not here today, so we have somebody doing social media. So those of you that are young enough or hip enough, regardless of your age, to do social media, our Twitter account is at LR Touchdown Club. So if you want to tweet something out today that Jay says or a picture, Brockton, you may be the only guy young enough here at the Touchdown Club to do that. So we ask that you do that. We thank RJ for his support. Our check-in ladies, the best in the business. They're back in the back, along with Debbie, who has just been magnificent as our executive director. Girls, you stand up back there in the back. Let's give them a round of applause. Debbie Wyman has done great, and those girls are awesome, do a great job. A couple other special guests before we get to Rex. We have Jay Barker's pastor. This pastor was back in Birmingham, and Jay, did you even know that he was here in town until you heard from him today? Did you know that? Gary Hollingsworth, who was the pastor at Emmanuel Baptist, was a track star at Alabama and played defensive back for Bear Bryant. Where is Gary at? Please stand. Let's give him a round of applause. Gary Hollingsworth, Emmanuel Baptist. Did you high jump 7 foot? Is that right? 6'11". How about that? Yeah. But you were better in track than in football? Much better. All right. I've worked with Gary a lot of different things, but great that he and Jay were able to hook up. I love that. And then I ran into a guy this weekend I didn't even know was calling games in the SEC. Wes Booker, who is a Whitehall graduate. He won a national championship at UCA back in the late 80s, and he's a referee for the SEC. And he just happened to call the Razorback game yesterday. Let's welcome Wes Booker, everybody. Wes, stand up. Let's give him a round of applause. So when Wes leaves today, everybody slap Wes on the back, say, keep doing a great job, Wes. No, his integrity is impeccable. What a great guy. But how you've been a referee for 3 years in the SEC? Is that right? 3 years. So that we need to do a show where we have. I know y'all can't talk much, but we bring all the referees. Yeah, maybe restricted there. But, yeah, we had Walt Coleman. I turned on yesterday. Walt Coleman is the head referee for the NFL game. So, anyway, welcome to you guys for sure. Now it's time for our Democrat Gazette Player of the Week. His name is Brockton Brown. And how cool of a football name is that, Brockton Brown on the carry? He's a senior running back at Sheridan. 2 weeks ago, he goes for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns on only 21 carries. So he averages 13 yards a carry. They helped defeat Lake Hamilton for the first time in 26 years at Lake Hamilton. He is the leading rusher in the state of Arkansas. He's rushed for 1,000 yards in 5 games already. They're 3-2. So listen, he's very deserving. I'm just looking at his numbers. These are his numbers for the first 5 games rushing: 117, 219, 242, 74, and 207. So he's very deserving. Let's give a Little Rock Touchdown Club welcome. Brockton Brown, Player of the Week. And he's got his model looks. So he's either going to be a star football player or we're going to see him in the movies real soon. I did want to make mention, too, his parents, Melissa and Gary Brown. Gary was a running back at Sheridan. How about that? His son's following his footsteps. Grandmother, Donna Adams, is here. Grandparents, Dan and Frida Brown is here. Their aunt, J.J. Marley, is here. Sheridan School representative, the principal, Rodney Williams, A.D. Matt Scarborough, and Superintendent Jared Williams. Sheridan crew, please stand. So you guys are covered. You got almost all your grandparents here. You got your parents. You got the school board. You're set. You can do anything wrong now. I'm just going to let you know, and you'll be covered. All right. Before we bring Rex up, a great honor happened this weekend to our buddy Rex Nelson. He was honored by having the radio booth at Cliff Harris Field named in his honor, the Rex Nelson radio booth at OBU. Rex has called games for the Tigers for 33 years. And, of course, grew up, right down the road from the stadium, and nobody knows the history of OBU better than Rex. So I thought for this particular weekend wrap-up, we give a Little Rock Touchdown Club official welcome for this honor. Everybody, Rex Nelson, and great honor this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, David. I do appreciate it. You hang around long enough, you just outlive them. That's the secret to success in life, I've determined, just to outlive them all. This really is one of those Mondays when I'm glad that we don't do NFL highlights. My wife Melissa is a huge Cowboys fan, David. I'm a Saints fan. And so we separated for 3 hours last night. Literally, we watched the game in separate rooms. And I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. I subscribed when I was in junior high to the Saints Weekly, back when Archie was back, and they were awful. I was probably the only subscriber in Arkansas. Glad we don't do that. I won't mention who won. I'll just say it was the home team, and the game was played at the Louisiana Superdome. But we will let it go at that. Jay, it is wonderful to have you here this week. We don't have a lot of Alabama representatives, although at this very podium, we did once have a University of Arkansas head coach who claimed he coached at the University of Alabama. Right here, made national news. Some of you are here, weren't you? Smile. That's all I can say. Smile. Woo. We think this season got off to a bad start. Actually, it's looking really good when we think back to some of that. All right, time for the college wrap-up. Brought to you by Simmons Bank. It took until October, but we finally have a Saturday when Arkansas State, UCA, they all in on the same day. How about that? Arkansas 24, Tennessee 20 before a crowd of 101,265 people and one sad coon dog in Knoxville. First win in Knoxville for Arkansas since 1992. I watched that 92 game in a hotel room covering the Clinton presidential campaign. That's how long ago that was when I was political editor of the Democrat Gazette. Arkansas finally wins a game decided 7 points or less. First time it's happened in the Bielema era. We're now 1-9 in such games. Arkansas wins an SEC road game for the first time in the Bielema era. Alex Collins, how about his performance? 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has now topped 150 yards rushing in 3 consecutive games. Drew Morgan just keeps getting better and better. 5 catches, 110 yards. His second consecutive 100-yard plus game, and the first Razorback to do that since Kobe Hamilton back in 2012. Brandon Allen, 11-24 passing, 219 yards. Arkansas's only 5-13 all time against Tennessee, so it doesn't happen real often. Tennessee held to 133 rushing yards. That, by the way, is 115 less than their season average coming into the game. Get this stat second half. In the second half, Arkansas led time of possession 21 minutes and 57 seconds to 8 minutes and 3 seconds in the second half. Quite a half. Arkansas State now 2-3, 49-35 over 1-4 Idaho Vandals in Jonesboro. One of the Petrinos coaches them. Senior running back Michael Gordon, a career high 221 yards, scored 3 touchdowns. Vandals, by the way, are allowing more yards per game and more yards per rush than any team in the FBS. ASU, in fact, had 3 running backs combined for 347 yards in that game. And UCA, which played on the road the entire month of September, finally gets a home game. Bears now 2-2 overall. More important, they're 2-0 in the Southland Conference, 42-14 over Abilene Christian. That team coached by former Bear quarterback Ken Cullum. Some of us old-timers remember when he quarterbacked the Bears. UCA led 32-0 in the second quarter of that game, and the Bears never looked back. UAPB, not a good day across town at War Memorial Stadium. They lost 61-14 to 4-1 Alcorn State. UAPB is 0-3 in the SWAC, 1-4 overall. Alcorn outgained the Golden Lions 543 to 249, including 418 to 165 on the ground. And how about the race in the Great American Conference? There are no more undefeated college teams left anywhere, by the way, in the state of Arkansas. Harding falls to Ouachita. Arkansas Tech falls to Henderson in the Arkadelphia doubleheader that I attended on Saturday. Now there are 5 teams tied atop the conference, all with 4-1 records. Ouachita, Henderson, Harding, Tech, and East Central Oklahoma are all 4-1. And this week, it's Ouachita at Tech and Henderson at Harding, so we'll be down to at least 3 on Monday of next week. Ouachita trailed its game 14-3 early, but scored the go-ahead touchdown with 1:40 left on a pass from Austin Warford of Malvern to Jonathan Powell of Searcy. They then added a safety for a 26-21 win. By the way, Harding is 16-2 in its last 18 conference games, and both losses have been at the last minute to Ouachita. Meanwhile, Henderson's defense has only allowed 7 points in the previous 8 quarters. Tech goes down 17-7. Henderson has a running back named Jaquan Cole, who rushed for 245 yards on 27 carries. Reddy's had 390 yards overall, including 305 rushing. Tech had 323 yards. That's far below its average of 482. UAM, not a good week to be a boll weevil. They're 0-5 after a 56-28 loss to 1-4 Oklahoma Baptist, Gary's alma mater. That's the league's newest member. Southern Arkansas, 3-2, following a 55-20 win at Southern Nazarene, which has a 27-game losing streak. Down in Division III, we cover everybody. Hendrix, how about that? Off to a 3-1 start. Jim's alma mater here. 51-48 at center, which has quite a college football history itself. Running back Dayton Wynn from Pea Ridge had 283 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns for Hendrix. And in the NAIA line in its first year of football in 65 years, they're 0-5. Came close, though. 37-35 loss to Cone in Batesville. Now, on to the SEC. Alabama speaking up. 4-1 overall, 1-1 in conference. Just routed Georgia between the edges. 38-10. Georgia falls to 4-1 and 2-1. Georgia even yanked its starting quarterback, Grayson Lambert, late in the first half. They ended up putting him back in after he replaced him through 2 interceptions. The Tide led 24-3 at halftime. Speaking of interceptions, they returned one 50 yards for a touchdown to start the second half, and they'd never look back. They appear to be hitting all cylinders again. Jay will talk more about it coming into this week's game. The Aggies are 5-0 overall, 2-0 in conference, 30-17 in College Station before 104,000 screaming Aggies. There's a joke in there somewhere over Mississippi State, which is now 3-2 and 1-2. Kyle Allen threw for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Aggies now have 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama. They're off this week. Missouri 4-1 overall, 1-1 conference, 24-10 win at home over a weak South Carolina team. It's now 2-3 overall, 0-2 in conference. Bad year for the old ball coach. A freshman named Drew Lock had to start at quarterback for Missouri in place of Matty Mock, who was suspended Tuesday for what? I don't know. Ole Miss, they forgot to show up in the swamp, didn't they? I know a lot of you picked Ole Miss when I asked last week. Florida wins easily, 38-10. Will Greer throws 4 touchdown passes in the first half of that game. The Gators are off a 5-0 start, 3-0 in the SEC in their first year under Jim McElwain. The Rebels fall to 4-1 and 2-1. And LSU is 4-0, 44-22 over 1-4 Eastern Michigan. Leonard Fournette, I think he's still at the top of the Heisman race. 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, 26 carries. That was Fournette's 3rd consecutive 200-yard-plus game. He's the first SEC player, by the way, to ever do that. Auburn 3-2, not impressive though. 35-21 over 2-3 San Jose State. Peyton Barber rush for 5 touchdowns for the Tigers. Vanderbilt and Kentucky both almost lose to in-state opponents and then pull it out at the end. Vanderbilt's 2-3 after a 17-13 win to 2-3 Middle Tennessee. The Commodores had to overcome a 10-point deficit with 2 touchdowns in the final 6-14, and it took overtime for 4-1 Kentucky to beat 2-2 Eastern Kentucky, 34-27. Eastern led that game, get this, 27-13 with just 7:39 remaining in the fourth quarter. Close call for both Vandy and Kentucky. All right, this week, Missouri at Florida, Georgia at Tennessee, LSU at South Carolina, Troy at Mississippi State, New Mexico State at Ole Miss, Arkansas at Alabama. Be honest with yourself. How many of you think Arkansas goes into Bryant-Denny and wins it on Saturday? Come on. All right, Alabama. I know how this guy's going to pick. All right. Here in the state, we have, as I mentioned, Wichita, Arkansas Tech, Henderson at Harding, Oklahoma Baptist at Southern Arkansas, and Southern Nazarene at UAM. So games in Russellville, Searcy, Magnolia, and Monticello. Get out and see a college football game. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Rex. Did Kevin Kelly make it today by chance, real quick? Didn't see him? I was just going to mention, I thought he was going to bring Lane Hatcher, the quarterback for PA, here today, too. I do want to, again, thank Greg Hatcher for helping. We wouldn't have been able to get Jay Barker here if not for Greg Hatcher at the Hatcher Agency, so we appreciate him. I did accidentally leave off the coach of Brockton Browns shirt in a yellow jacket, and he's got an Alabama connection. It is Lewis Campbell, who played in the great '69 shootout for the Razorbacks, goes on to coach 10 years at Alabama, 8 for the great Bear Bryant, and 2 for Ray Perkins. Let's give it up for Coach Campbell. Coach, everybody see you. So we got Alabama connections all over the place. We'll let Jim, you'll have an official introduction, Jay, by our Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame historian, Jim Rasco. But I'll just say this. Jay has a morning radio show back in Birmingham. It's a top-rated one. It's been that way for quite some time. So he's like what I do every morning, 6 to 10. He does it in Birmingham. Let's just say their shows are a lot more positive over the last years than ours have been. But my point is, for him to get here on a Sunday night, get up, we set up, the Buzz set up his show here at Tyler to do his show, but he's got 7 kids. One of the reasons he's got to get back early because he's got one of his kids playing in a sports event tonight, football. And so it really is great to have him here today. He's a first-class guy. I always heard that, and just being around him a little bit last night, I could certainly tell. I mentioned the fact he's married to Sarah Evans. Combined together, they have 7 kids, all from the youngest is how old, Jay? 11 to a senior in high school, 17. And so you can imagine what his life is like. But so for him to take the time to be here today, we're really appreciative. In Alabama, as you know, and I love Arkansas, and of course, you know, one of the reasons Alabama was so great in football because of an Arkansan by the name of Barry Bryant. But it is, I've just got to say that. At least we can throw that out there. But it is football royalty there in Alabama. This guy, when you have led an Alabama football team to a national championship, you are forever enshrined as one of the great ones, and still just as humble as he can be. So I do love the story about the ex-college football player who is coming out of a failed relationship, only to find the star country music singer and to go on and have a happy, wonderful love life for the rest of his life. So my only question is, can lightning strike twice? Because I love the way that sounds. And my next question would be, is Dolly Parton single? Is that, but Jay, we're really glad to have you. Look forward to hearing what you're going to say. Jim, will you come up and give him an official introduction? Jim Rasco, everybody.
Okay, let's go back to January 26, 1983. Jay Barker was in the 5th grade in Trussville, Alabama. His teacher comes into the classroom weeping. Jay thought the way she was crying, maybe her husband had died or something. She told us that Coach Bryant had died. Then everybody in our class cried. In fact, Alabama fans everywhere wailed over the death of the Bear because they felt that the Crimson Tide's glory years would be buried along with a legendary coach from Fordyce, Arkansas. Let's fast forward 7 years. Now Jay is a senior at Hewitt-Trussville High School, and he's playing quarterback for the first time. He completes his senior seasons, always wanting to play for Alabama. He sends Alabama's head coach, Bill Curry, one of our previous guest speakers, some game films. Jay quickly finds out they didn't even open the package. They sent it back. That hurt. So Jay stated that he was on his way to Auburn. He said he would have learned to like Auburn, but it would have been tough because he loved Alabama. However, there was a coaching change at Alabama, and by February of 1990, new head coach Gene Stallings, another one of our previous guest speakers, signed Jay Barker and referred to the 6'3", 195-pound quarterback from Trussville as the most highly recruited quarterback in the state. It was reported that during his senior season, Jay had completed 82 of 142 passes for 1,320 yards and 12 touchdowns while running the wishbone. It was also stated, that he had an extremely strong arm that wasn't fully utilized in Coach Jack Wood's wishbone offense. Barker redshirted in 1990, and then prior to the start of the 1991 season, he suffered a severe shoulder injury after taking a hit from teammate Sam Shade during fall drills. Jay's shoulder never did heal completely during the season, but he displayed the toughness that his high school coach loved. Coach Wood had stated that Barker is a physically tough kid who gets the respect of his teammates. When he steps into the huddle, he's in charge. With the injury, Barker started the 1991 season as a backup to starter Danny Woodson. Prior to the 7th game of the 1991 season, Jay had spent most of his time on the sidelines watching Woodson and the Alabama offense light up the scoreboard. And the only time the redshirt freshman had stepped onto the field was after the game's outcome had been decided. But that all changed in the 3rd quarter of the Tennessee game, which was played on October 19, 1991. With Alabama trailing the Volunteers 6-3, Woodson pulled a hamstring muscle, and Jay Barker came in at quarterback. Barker led the Crimson Tide to 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns and a 24-19 victory over the 8th-ranked Vols. Barker at the helm, the Tide finished the season with an 11-1 record, which included a 30-25 victory over Colorado in the Blockbuster Bowl. In that bowl game, after Bama scored on a punt return, Barker passed for the other 3 touchdowns as he hit 12 of 16 for 154 yards, and the Crimson Tide finished number 5 in the final AP poll for 1991. Now let's go to that magical year of 1992. Arkansas and South Carolina joined the SEC. The scene was set for the first ever major college conference championship playoff. I know Jay Barker's made at least one previous trip to Little Rock. Here's the program from Arkansas ever in-state SEC game. You probably remember Arkansas's opponent was Alabama. The then record Foreman World Stadium crowd of 55,912 watched the Crimson Tide score on a 33-yard run on his first offensive play. And before the first half ended, Barker had passed 3 touchdowns, and Alabama led 28-0 en route to a 38-11 victory. Enough that. As Rick said, go real fast on that. Real fast. Real fast. Touchdown. All right. Barker stretched his consecutive game-winning streak as a starter to 15 games. He guided the Tide to an 11-0 record for the regular season. Then he hit 10 of 18 passes, and Alabama beat Florida 28-21 in that first SEC championship game. That set the stage for the national championship game to be played in the Sugar Bowl. Miami entered the game with a 29-game winning streak and a record of 66-4 since its loss to Penn State in the 1987 Fiesta Bowl. Miami had 3 All-Americans on defense and had the Heisman winner, still another one of our previous guest speakers, Gino Torretta. Torretta was 26-1 as a starter, so it was no surprise that number 1 Miami was expected to take its 5th national title in 10 seasons. It was no contest. Alabama slaughtered Miami 34-13 and picked up its first national championship of the post-Bryant era. Okay, you've heard about enough of me, so I'll close by saying that in 1993, Jay suffered a shoulder injury, but he came back and then suffered a season-ending knee injury and was unable to play in the SEC championship game and in the Gator Bowl. But as a senior in 1994, Barker led the Crimson Tide to another unbeaten regular season record of 11-0. He had Alabama in the lead in the SEC championship game against Florida, but another shoulder injury slowed him down, and Florida came back to beat Bama in the final 5 minutes, 24-23. But Jay came back to throw for 317 yards in his final college game and to lead Alabama to a 24-17 victory over Ohio State in the Citrus Bowl. Last week, our speaker was the 1993 All-SEC quarterback and the SEC Player of the Year, Heath Shuler. Today, we have the 1994 All-SEC quarterback and SEC Player of the Year. Also in 94, he was the winner of the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. He was one of 3 finalists for the W. O'Brien National Quarterback Award, and he came in 5th in the voting for the Heisman Trophy. From the University of Alabama at quarterback number 7, Jay Barker.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I shouldn't even speak now. I mean, that's just awesome. Hey, thanks for having me today, and I wrote it down, Brockton Brown. So Coach Saban's going to get a call later on today. It's unbelievable as far as the yardage, and congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. It's always great to go to speak at quarterback clubs or touchdown clubs, whatever it is, and I walk into different places, and there's always, to me, it's like I see similar faces, similar personalities. Not that they all look alike, but this one is really different. I have to be honest with you. There's an enthusiasm, which starts with you, David. David does a great job, does he not, of organizing this and putting it together. Don't ever tell your speakers the guy before him, though, did so good and all that. That just puts way too much pressure. Oh, yeah, by the way, you're live on radio. Hello, Radio Land. And you're being streamed. I'm like, okay, just the pressure continues to mount. But it really is great to be here. I was actually on the phone with Sarah while she had a tumbling down the bus. She reached over to roll down a window up with the bus driver. They're talking about logistics, and she reaches over to roll down the window, throw out a piece of gum, and as she does, the new bus that she's on, the seat goes back up automatically. She had no idea, so she went back to sit down and tumbled all the way down to the bottom of the stairs. She was on stage Saturday night with a ankle brace on, and I just found out that's why I was late doing the interview. Dr. Lyle Kane, who's a team doctor at Alabama, is like, man, she's got ACL, MCL. I mean, he was playing with me at first, He's like, probably MCL, a tear or something, and may have broken her hand. So, poor thing, but she's tough. I didn't do anything, guys, so don't think anything. I got witnesses. I wasn't there, but Sarah's a terrific woman, as you said, and a great mom. My best friend, and has been a huge blessing in my life. We got 7 kids together. We have 6 teenagers. Pray for us. Anybody want one? You can have. We have 7 kids, 17, 2 16s, 2 14s, almost a 13, which will be our next, for make 6, and then 11. They're all compacted. I need a loan at some point in time for college. And but it's so much fun to see them interacting, blended as a family. Gosh, we met 8 years ago. Sarah and I, our first date was throwing softball, and it was her idea. She was a huge sports fan. She was an all-state softball player and a volleyball player, and so she loves sports, and which I love that. I mean, that's why I married her. It was just because she could play sports, not because of how good-looking she is and can sing. And that really has nothing to do with it. It's really her heart. Her heart is amazing, absolutely amazing. I tell her all the time that she's a brilliant, brilliant woman, has a terrific heart and a great smile, and that's something that you can't take away. Plus, her love for the Lord is just amazing. So that's my family, and we really have been so blessed to have gone through. I think Sarah and I went through some really, really tough years before we met each other. And believe it or not, the guy that was counseling me, and I was telling David last night, and counseling her was the one that actually matched up, and he had never done that before. He emailed me and emailed her and said, "You guys would be great friends. You're so much alike, and you've been through a lot of similar stuff." And I think as believers and brothers and sisters in Christ, it'd be great to just encourage each other. So she actually emailed me first. I tell people all the time. And I say that I waited a little while. It's probably 5 seconds later, like bam, you know. So then we began to talk, and I began recruiting as good as I've ever recruited in my life. Because I knew right away when I met her, I said, man, this is somebody very, very special. And believe it or not, I really did not know my partner, Aldo Greco, was in love with her on Dancing with the Stars. That was a little rough when I started dating her, and his love affair with her from Dancing with the Stars didn't go over very well. But I was like, quit looking at her. But with our 7 kids, man, I tell you, it's amazing. We have child-proofed our home so many times, and they still keep coming back. I don't know what is. We just, come on, give us some time, give us some space. But Sarah traveling and stuff on tour, and she's a Missouri fan, which makes it at times was our first year, I guess. We had to worry about it. Missouri comes into the conference. We're like, wow, this is awesome. But I didn't realize how big a Missouri fan she is, because I thought, she's just gonna be an Alabama fan for life, and she pulls for her Tigers, and a little bit of contention there, but at least she's not an Auburn fan. God, that is divorce in Alabama. I mean, you don't even go. That's unequally yoked, big time. But I always tell Sarah, Sarah's like, what would you ever do if you could go out and tour and be a part of a band, all this kind of stuff. We're sitting around talking and all that. And I'll be honest with you, I got the best name that I would name a band. It would be called Lost Dog. And the reason, because my posters, you'd see them everywhere, all over the cities, all over the state, Lost Dog, so I get free promotion. But I had a chance to get him to meet David last night and share with him my part about, we talk about radio, and we kind of have some similar backgrounds from the South, and it's really cool to come to a city like Little Rock, and we were talking earlier about this. This reminds me so much of Birmingham and just all the great cities, and I mean great cities in the South. That really have such the values that we all stand for, and the things that and the type of communities that we want to have. And for me to get a chance to come and just share a few things with you about my playing career, just kind of where I see football going. And one of the things that I can't even imagine right now is that we had 2 teams sitting at 2-2 in the SEC play. I do wish that I made as much money as Bielema per SEC win when I was playing. Because, oh, my bad. I'm in Arkansas. I should have said that for last. He's getting it together. He really is. And I was telling the radio guys earlier that I was out there with, I really like his approach. His approach is old school, tough, offensive line. He's kind of that Southern coach that everybody just he gives us great sound bites on radio, which we love. But I really think he's going to put together a winning program. The problem now, as I was sharing earlier, is that so many of the coaches, the money's unbelievable. They're free agents. They come in, they're expected to change things right now, and they're paying them big-time dollars to do it. So if it doesn't happen, you don't get that 3, 4, 5, 6 years to really, implement your stuff, implement recruiting and getting the people that you need for your particular program. But I really do like Brett. And I've actually had a chance to be around him and interview him. And like I said, he's always a great interview. And I think he really has the kids, their interest at heart, not just on the field, but also off the field. As you said, I had a chance to play in that 92 here in Little Rock. And actually, at that time, it was President Clinton, but he was going through all the campaigning and stuff. And he came to the game, and I'll never forget, after the game, we'd won the game, he comes to the locker room, and he's standing outside, and I see him because all all the Secret Service or whatever around him at that time. And Coach Stallings would not let him in the locker room. He was a huge Bush guy. I mean, like, they were like best friends. And they're like, no. Governor wants to speak to your team. He's not going to do any kind of any type of campaign, nothing. Just say congratulations. He's like, mm-mm. We go to the White House that year. He's president, and he showed up like 30 minutes. And Coach Stallings got so mad at him. I walked up to him and shook his hand. He goes, "Where you been?" I mean, he's like solving the world's problems, you know. And Coach Stallings was like, you say you're going to be here on time. I'm like, holy cow! But that's how Alabama, that's royalty. He thought, he was. Coach Stallings is great. I'll tell more about him a little bit later on. But that was interesting to come and play that game to be at the first, I guess, SEC game in Little Rock, right? Or was it the first SEC game all? Was it the first one? One on the road. Okay, I got you. All right, so to be a part of that, see the excitement, the expansion of the SEC, what was about to happen 20-something years later now, to see where the SEC has gone to is just unbelievable. To be a part of that 92 championship, and I'll tell you this, the 92 championship game was great. 92 SEC championship game was unbelievable. It was, it's an art of playing football to finally just everything had been kind of this architectural. Roy Kramer had said, look, I want to have this playoff style scenario, and then we had a chance to play in that first one. We could not believe that at all, that we had a chance to do that, be a part of that. When it comes to that 92 national championship game, though, about Gino and I talk about it all the time. I had him on my show before talking about his night. He remembers this on the ceiling, he said, because he was on his back so many times throughout that game. But Gino's a very humble guy, just a great guy to spend time with and stuff. But we both, he was won Heisman Trophy. I'm a sophomore again. And I'll be honest with you, I've never been that scared in my life. I played quarterback in high school, but we ran out on the field, and I don't know if you've ever been, not so much scared, but just hyped up and just that energy that I couldn't feel my feet in the turf. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I was really, really nervous, and probably my numbers was like 2 for 8, like 30 yards and 2 interceptions. It was crazy. I see the replays and go, see, right there. And I've already said 10 seconds later, you guys are making split decisions. But that's, part of being a part of the SEC is the best of the best. And I was so proud to be a part of that and to experience that. And for God to really bless me with a great team, great teammates, a great coach. I wanted to play for Coach Bryant, and I did cry in 5th grade when Coach Bryant passed away. Everybody did. The whole state of Alabama was just in mourning, thinking, what has just happened? We've lost our coach. And I'd prayed since I was 5 years old, Lord, just let me play for Coach Bryant one day. I want to play for Coach Bryant. And so when he passed away, I felt like, because I know he'd retire, but I thought he'll come back for me. He'll come back. I'll be that good, and he'll want to come back and coach because I'm, playing whatever running back at that time and free safety. But I really felt like I got the next best thing. Gene Stallings was so much like Coach Bryant in his principles, the way he talked, his mannerisms, just everything about him. The things he taught us so much about life in general that was, we'd sit there Tennessee, Alabama week, and Mike Dubose would get up and he'd give like this big speech about, it was kind of like this pep you up. This is the only team we did this for now. I didn't even do it for Auburn. At that time, that's how big Tennessee, Alabama was. That rivalry was huge. And so all the coaches there were all from Coach Bryant's staff, and they just viewed that game. That's the one we Rocky Top playing all week long. Everybody put on the Tennessee, all of our scout team guys wore like Tennessee jerseys, put Tennessee tees on their helmets, and made it this huge deal because we were not going to lose to Tennessee. But just that whole atmosphere was just unbelievable. I'll be honest, he taught us how to compete. He taught us how to really try to be the best. You don't have to, just to try to be the best, compete, do everything you can. But, if you fail, it's all right. If you fail, if you mess up, if things happen, it's okay. We learn from those things. We keep moving forward. But we're going to continue to fight to be the very best we can be and represent Alabama in a very positive way on and off the field. So I'm just totally destroying this, whatever it is. I promise you I'm not doing anything I think it's you. Be honest with me. You're moving around up here a lot. Every time I mention something, you're just, no, I'm messing. After that, I had a chance to, and really just, you think about, growing up, I used to race from Little League games to the Alabama games with my dad. My dad passed away 20 years ago this past February, and he was such an instrumental part of my life. But I'll never forget, and you guys know this. You've grown up in in Arkansas and now in the SEC and seen, just people that just love the game. And it wasn't like it was our obsession, man. My dad wasn't like, this is God and this is everything in our life, but it was something that we shared together. And at that time, we could jump in the car after a game, and he'd have all these like little wash rags in plastic baggies, so I could rinse off, change clothes. We'd go up to the ticket, box office, and if they had tickets, they had them. We couldn't afford season tickets, so we'd go to the box office or try to buy them, in the first or second quarter to try to get in and watch the game. And I sold Cokes in the stands in high school, up in the upper deck, and had a chance to do that just so I could go watch and be a part of those games. Love Tennessee games. And guys would get so drunk up there in the upper level, be like, you want change? They're like, what? I just like put the money away and run, and when you're in high school, no illegal benefits there. That's Tennessee. I didn't play there. They were giving me the money. But, when I was coming out, and one of the things I forgot to, and you brought this up earlier about, Auburn was really hot after me, and I was just like, Lord, you've got to change this path. This is not, this can't happen. And nothing against Auburn. I grew up such a staunch Alabama fan. But I really did. I prayed for a divine intervention, and no lie, like the next week, Bill Curry, a brick went through his window. And I'm like, holy cow. This is, my dad didn't throw it, my mom, me, nobody, none of us. But he ends up leaving. And Coach Stallings comes in, and I'll never forget the night he took the job, made the announcement. And then I guess about 10, 15 minutes after he got off the air, it's like live, and I get my phone starts ringing, and I go over and answer it, and it's Mal Moore. My dad said, hey, it's Mal Moore from Alabama to talk to you. My heart is racing, And he's like, hey, we just want to let you know we're really wanting to recruit you. We realized that some things happened. They didn't even look at you. They had their guys outside of the area, but we're going to go more local. And I was like, yeah. I'm trying to play it cool, like, yeah. Sure, whatever. And Auburn's doing this and doing that, which I was. And then Coach Stallings got on the phone with me and talked to me and said, hey, give us a chance, give us a shot. And I'm like, yes, And trying to play it cool, and I got the phone. I was doing cartwheels through my house, and my mom was doing cartwheels with me, and we were just all like so excited, and took a trip down, and he did offer me as his first quarterback for that class in his first class, Alabama, which was just a great thing. We had a father-son relationship. Coach Stallings and I did. We not only had a lot of respect for each other, but I'm never one to back down. If I believe in something, I'm going to really stand hard for it. And I had to stand hard a lot of times for my teammates, and actually, and for myself at times with Coach Stallings. He was so tough on me, and so hard on me, in a good way. I don't mean that like in a very bad way, but in a good way. Maybe abusive at times, but not much. But he was a great man. But we got in more fights. I'm not on the field yelling at each other in his office. I'll never forget before a Tennessee game in 1994, I was out warming up, and Homer Smith came up to me and said, look, I don't want you to throw. You hurt your shoulder last week or 2 weeks ago against Southern Miss. Had the week off. No deep balls, just throw. So I go, you and I are going to walk to Coach Stallings and tell him this. We walk up to him, and we're in the locker room. This is before we go out to warm up. And this is the day before, not even game day. And so we walk up to him, and I said, hey, Coach Smith has something he wants to tell you. And Coach Smith says, I don't want him throwing deep balls. Okay, yeah, whatever, That's good, I understand. So we get out there, and I'm throwing, and we stop the short passes, and I just step back. Everybody starts throwing the long passes. And Coach Stallings starts walking towards us, and I, looked over our backup, Brian Bergdorf, and I'm like, man, somebody's in big-time trouble. I know that walk. And he just keeps coming, and he's getting closer and closer. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, what in the world did I do? ESPN's out there filming it, all that stuff, and he comes up and starts chewing me out. And I'm like, are you insane? We just had this conversation in the locker room about not throwing. So now I'm mad. He's mad. We go in the locker room, and he's trying to talk to me. And I'm just like, Coach, leave me, just let me be for a second. Let me calm down. And so then we went to the restroom, he and we're just like, we're locked up. He's spitting in my face. I'm spitting in his face. But it wasn't, it was good. We're just like, sitting there talking, and I'm telling him my position. He's telling me his, and I shaved after that. I should not have. I had blood, bubbles coming out of my face because my blood pressure was so high. We get back to the hotel. He asked me to pray at dinner. I was like, oh, Lord, I want to say so many things here. Give him some kind of sanity in situations. And I'd already laid hands on him, so I thought praying for him would be good. But we actually had a great relationship, and he was one of those guys that whatever he said, he meant it. And after that game, there's a picture of Coach Stallings and I. We have a cigar in our mouths, Tennessee thing, whatever, and I tell my kids, mine had the wrapper on it, but we're sitting there, and we're smiling because he looked at me and he said, how's your shoulder? I'd hurt my shoulder before that game. And I go, what? He goes, how's your shoulder? He goes, I made you forget about it, didn't I? And I'm like, you're messing with me. What are you doing? I just went through all this abuse, and now I'm like, love you, But it was part of his way of knowing how to push certain buttons with certain people. And we all have certain ways of being influenced or impacted. And he definitely impacted my life. Watching him as not only as a coach, but as a father and as a husband was really amazing. I ended up getting drafted, and my phone was ringing now. Getting drafted back in 1995 by the Green Bay Packers. I thought, man, I'm going from one tradition to another. And it was amazing. I actually got salmonella food poisoned in July, lost 25 pounds in 5 days. So I didn't get to even go out and camp till the 4th week of camp. And still thought I was going to make it because, I thought I was going to make it, And Homer called me in and said, look, just missed a lot of practice, and New England was going to pick you up in the draft. That we'd already talked about this. We made some moves, and we're sending you there. I'm like, all right. So that was my kind of bad taste in my mouth, first experience of this is a business. This isn't just high school or college that you get your scholarship and you stick around for 4 or 5 years and prove yourself. You got to go prove it now. Went to New England and played there for a year and a half. Then ended up getting cut after the last week of training camp. Went to Carolina. From there to the CFL, and the CFL 3 years, and I had a blast. And I was telling the guys, I said earlier, outside doing the radio show, I said, look, the great thing about the CFL, and I played in the XFL too. Remember Vince McMahon, the XFL? Man, it was fun. It was, I'm not looking at you like that, but it was really funny. You're laughing, but we'd all been fired. So there was no egos. I mean, the coaches were been fired, the players had been fired. We all we're just like we didn't make it. So, but hey, we're the it's like the island of misfit toys. Here we are. But we're able to go out there and play and have a good time. CFL, to me, we were doing all this stuff, this zone read stuff 20 years ago. Doug Flutie created all this stuff. Go back and look at the CFL films. There were 4 options, not 3. I won't tell you the 4th. You may have heard on the radio a while ago. But pretty cool stuff. But, yeah, Vince McMahon, golly, he wanted to bring wrestling to the football field and really was a great product. It was probably the best product. To me, the CFL was better than NFL Europe. But the XFL was actually better than both of those because, guys, it was decent money. It was close by, real regional type stuff. No real traveling, out of the country, even though Canada's not that bad at all, especially Toronto. But we had a blast, and it was a lot of fun to have all those guys. And a lot of former Alabama Army guys, SEC guys got a chance to play together. So that was a lot of fun doing that and being a part of that. And I've been doing my radio show since 2001. I can tell you the hits, they're still there. They're just different. They're not physical. They're just mentally and emotional hits every single morning with fans and some of the stuff that they say and the social media, all that kind of stuff. But it's really a lot of fun. I've had a chance to – I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've had a number of businesses and restaurants that have opened up over the years. I got 3 technology companies owned right now and doing a bunch of stuff in that field and as well as the radio show. So I love having a chance to be around sports, to connect to the coaches and the players and do all the things that, without having to go sit there and put a game plan together and make a call on a Saturday because it is really, really tough. Dave and I were talking about this last night. I really hope fans realize how hard it is to win a football game. Do you realize how tough it is? And I don't mean this bad if there's a Vanderbilt fan listening. You know how hard it is to beat Vanderbilt? I mean, it really is. I mean, you have to play your best game, best football every single weekend. And these coaches are relying on 18 to 22-year-olds. And my biggest issue today in sports is that I think a lot of people, and especially college, look, these guys are still growing, maturing, but don't let it validate who you are. Don't let it be that this is your only thing that serves you in life, that if all of a sudden your team doesn't win or that player doesn't perform to your expectations. Remember, they have a mom and a dad, a brother, a sister. They have aunts and uncles. Remember how you watched your kid in Little League or high school or even whether it's in recitals or whatever else, and you sat there and just, you just felt for them because my child, those are people's children out there. I mean, those are people's loved ones. They're not just numbers or products. And so I encourage you, if you're a fan, be a fan. Love your team. Have passion. Debate things. It's great. You can debate schemes and all that kind of stuff. Why? If you want to get on to anybody, get on the coaches. They're paid professionals, right? But the players, to me, is that those guys are doing everything they possibly can every single week, every weekend. And the people that it hurts the most to lose, you know who it is? It's the ones who sacrificed all week long to get to Saturday and lose. They're the ones that hurt. I mean, they're the ones that have gone through all the struggle to get there. So, for me, I pray that at some point in time, as football fans, especially in the Deep South, that we're going to have a chance to truly, I guess, get that and realize that these these guys do want to win and out there trying to throw an interception or trying to do this. David was talking about last night how funny the quarterback situation on social media. You can watch it. They hate him like the first 2 series. And then all of a sudden, he throws a touchdown pass, and he's the greatest thing in the world. You know, it's the same people. And I'm just like, man, who are these people? And you won't know. You know why? Because they're anonymous. Right? If you want to say it, say it. But, man, at least let me know who you are. But they're too coward to do that. They don't have to face themselves being put in that kind of situation. Last week, Alabama, just to kind of shift gears a little bit, I thought played a really, really good football game. I think Georgia really kind of stabbed themselves in the foot a couple of times. But if Alabama plays the way they did against Wisconsin in that game, they've got a chance to win a lot of football games. Great defense, special teams. I mean, this last game was all phases. 3 freshmen made a huge impact on that game. Minkah Fitzpatrick, just phenomenal defensive back. Marlon Humphrey, and also Calvin Ridley, who's a wide receiver. Those 3 guys are freshmen. 2 of them true freshmen, and Marlon's a redshirt. All of them were part of turnovers or touchdowns that led to Alabama's win over Georgia. And I was telling the guys earlier, to me, this type of game, Arkansas-Alabama, well, the reason it's 14-13 last year is because these two teams match up. Football is about matchups. It's about matchups. I don't fear Georgia, LSU, Arkansas. I fear Mississippi State. Why? Because of Dak Prescott. I fear Texas A&M. Why? Because they spread you out and it's high up tempo. That's the stuff that we have struggled with in the past. It hadn't been anything, neither really of y'all. I mean, Arkansas is built to play that style of football, so this should be a great matchup coming up this weekend. I truly believe that. And I think Brett Bielema is doing what he knows and what he thinks will be sustainable over a long period of time to build a program and not just build instant success. And it's whether or not people want to wait and see if it works or not, and whether or not they can sit back and let him bring in the players and develop the program. And again, that's really up to y'all and your boosters and your decision makers and who you want to be your head coach. And I agree. These guys are held accountable to what they do. I love Brandon Allen. You guys need to love him too. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. I really do. I think he is done and I'll tell you why, because not only does he do a great job, but he's the guy, even if a mistake happens, he's not the guy going and blaming other people. He just owns it. I love that. And he has just, in my mind, watching him play, the guy can rip off any throw. He's going to be, I think he'll be a great NFL player. And for him this year, what is he, like 66%, I think it is, completions, and just done great. Jake Coker, believe it or not, 4-0 as a starter. This is really his fourth. That was his fourth game of his college career. Isn't that crazy? I mean, backing up and coming in and playing some, but he's only started 4 games, and he's a senior. He did the same thing in high school. A.J. McCarron was ahead of him in high school, and so he played 1 year high school quarterback as a starter, and then now playing 1 year of he'll probably end up making millions in the NFL just from playing those two seasons because he's got a strong arm. He's built like an NFL quarterback. But I've been really proud of how he's played. The key for a quarterback is to protect the football. Protect it. You protect it. The goal, I always say my goal is to kick, not me, but our team. To punt, kick an extra point, or kick a field goal. And if we're doing that, we got a chance to win. If I'm putting my defense in a bad situation, throwing interceptions or giving the ball up, it's going to be a very, very long night. Just perspective on Nick Saban, best recruiter I've ever seen in my life. The best. And he's lived on that. I'll never forget when he got to LSU, I started out in talk radio, and Dabo Swinney was Alabama, and we were talking, and Dabo said, Jay, I'm scared to death. I go, why? He said, there's this guy, Nick Saban from Michigan State, is tearing us up in the state of Alabama. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, he's getting this Jamarcus Russell kid, and he was naming off all these players. I'm like, we'll keep him in state, man. That's LSU. He goes, Yeah, what about the players we're getting down there? He goes, man, he's locking down the borders. And he has a process and a system of how he does things. He's a great motivator. Schematically, he's great, but I think his biggest thing is he hires great people around him. He's not scared to go out and get a Lane Kiffin, even if everybody thinks it's the worst decision in the world to do. And I'll be short on that. No, I'm just kidding. Wasn't it here? Elaine said that? Yeah. Okay, all right, never mind. Maybe flew over some people's heads there for a second. Kirby Smart, defensive coordinator, and also Lane. I mean, these two guys are as good as they get. And Kirby's taken a lot of heat the last couple of years because the defense is not what it was in 2009 or 2000. Those are national championship teams. Alabama fans right now are so spoiled. It is unbelievable. I mean, I'm like, do you realize what we've been through? I mean, the dark ages, and I was one championship between 30 years that we'd won championships. One in 1992, 30-year, like from when we got it to after we got it to the next one in 2009. Unbelievable. And I think that if you look at that and see what he's done, what he's accomplished, Coach Saban will go down as one of the greatest of all time, just based on what he's done now. And even if Texas job comes open, I'm not scared. I don't think. I think he's got too many roots now. He's got a Mercedes dealership in Birmingham. About to have another one. He's got his kids living in Birmingham, and his daughters just got married, and her husband is at a firm in Birmingham. So I think we firmly got them planted in the state of Alabama, hopefully, and they'll be there for many years to come. It's amazing, 26 meetings between Arkansas and Alabama. That means, you think about it, that was only 2 before 92, right? Is that right? I'm trying to think how many were. I think there wasn't many. I think the record's 18. It was 18-7. I think it was the record of Arkansas, Alabama. But it's this type of game is so weird because my kids are always like, "Who's Alabama?" Because we look the same, right? Got the A's and the same colors, all that type of stuff. But this will be a great matchup, I think, this weekend. You got two great systems. I think two quarterbacks, one trying to find his own way, another one that's trying to, finally gets that road win at Tennessee. I mean, how much confidence do you think this team will have this week? I know Coach Saban's telling them they went to Tennessee and won. They went into Knoxville and Neyland Stadium and they won. They're going to use that all week long to say we can go to Tuscaloosa and we can go there. We're 14-13 last year, 1 point behind these guys. We match up well. And I know they'll build those things into that team. So I think it'll be a good matchup. And I know there's a lot of respect between the two programs in Arkansas and also at Alabama. I want to mention something real quick. One of the things I'm seeing is, and David and I talked a little bit about this last night, there's definitely a change at the quarterback position. Have y'all seen that? Just how the quarterback is, the difference of what's happening? And I think it's a good thing. The game is always going to evolve to a certain degree. What to me what's happening is that the quarterback is no longer the field general, it's actually a bit of a field minimal. And what I mean by that is there's minimal communication that goes on that the quarterback has to get to the players, to the team. Now they can just sit there and play their position and react and be that athlete, be that player, be able to throw, be able to run. Urban Meyer, to me, is going to take it to a whole new level. Urban's now got 3 quarterbacks he plays, and he's got 2 quarterbacks on the field at one time. Who's playing quarterback? Is it Braxton? Is it Cardell? Is it J.T. Barrett? I mean, to me, I think that's where it might end up going, is that we're going to have 3 quarterbacks on the field and go, okay, defense, we're going to up-tempo you, and you don't know where we're going to be at. And I'm telling you, that's the type of stuff we're going to see in the future of football, because a lot of these coaches realize through signs and signals and all that, get everybody on line of scrimmage, give your own players their signal, get the play called, and go as fast as you possibly can. And it's been fun to watch to a degree. I mean, it's been fun to have a chance to see all these points being scored in college football. But at the same time, I kind of miss the old, the way it was played and just the toughness of the game. And now it's played on air, which is different. It's great. I'll tell you this: there's more kids playing where there was to all this concussion stuff in high school because they could come out and go, I can play basketball, and then go out and not just block all day and just kill myself. I can actually go out and participate, make touchdowns, and do all these things that the offenses have come to do. Also, pressure on the quarterback. I know this later on, a little bit earlier. I mean, can you imagine being a quarterback? I can't imagine. I mean, the pressure that was on me in 92 and 93 and 94 and 91. I mean, there was things written about you in the paper for some guy that you could actually talk to the next week and go, why did you write that? Now in social media, these people say whatever, whenever. Nothing to be able to back that up. I mean, these guys, they're playing in the toughest era of scrutiny, criticism, negative stuff going on, and man, I commend them. I really do. Every quarterback that starts in the SEC or plays in the SEC, I mean, I really think that's why Jeremy Johnson has struggled so much. He was the guy, then everybody starts just pouncing on him on social media, and he just lost confidence. Jay Coker, I love his. He said he hates phones, doesn't like technology. So he didn't have a Twitter account. I'm like, yes, I like that. The fact that you don't, but the expectations, these guys come out of high school as stars, not 4-star, 5-star, just stars. And, this past, Blake Barnett's going to be the starting quarterback at Alabama. I'm like, there's no way. They're like, why do you say that? He's a 5-star. I'm like, because I've been there. A freshman walking in, unless you're Rosen at UCLA and it just happens to be a great situation, it's just too tough. The stress, the pressure, and all that's too tough. But, I think these guys deserve a lot of credit for what they accomplish, what they do. And like I said, it's harder on them than at any time, I think, in football. To watch these guys play at the level they play at, when they mess up, it's totally scrutinized. I mean, mine was, I hope they didn't remember that, and the writer didn't write about my interception or whatever else. It's real time. And that's somewhat scary, but it's also somewhat interesting, fun. The psychology of it all is interesting to watch and watch people. But I do hope, as I said earlier, that fans do not validate themselves or their life based on how the team or the particular players react in games. I want to kind of close with just something that just to kind of leave you with two things. One's a poem that I always carry with me, and I've carried it with me for a long time, and I give it to my kids, and I got it back when I was a freshman in college. I put it up in my mirror, and it never left my mirror the entire time I was there. Before I do that, though, just want to give you a quick acronym on He may lift you up in due time. I got a chance to share that scripture after the Georgia game in 1994. ESPN came up to interview me after the game, and I had a chance to share that scripture that somebody had given to me that week. I'd been going through some real tough stuff, and so there, I just want to give this to you. And God allowed me to talk about that and to share that verse on national TV, and that meant the world, not only to people that heard it, but it meant the world to me, because I got to share it at that time, and I saw God impacting us. It changes your life and your outlook. My wife is the most positive person ever in my life. I mean, she wakes up every single morning. She makes breakfast every morning. Big, not like cereal, big breakfast. She loves to cook. She does breakfast, lunch, dinner. All of her friends are like, Sarah, please quit. I mean, you're on the road and you're still like, she'll make dinner at 2 o'clock, get on the plane and go do a show, and then come back the next morning. You know, she's just that committed to being the best that she can be as a mom, more than anything else. She's the real Hannah Montana. There's no doubt about it. She can get on the road, go back and forth, and, you know, two totally different people at one time, but she has a great attitude. Attitude purifiers, the ones that have a good attitude. The polluters, the ones that are just so negative. M is make adjustments to be champions. You got to be able to make adjustments. And that just means you have to look at life and go, how can I change? What can I do to be better, right? Whether it's technology or things that a lot of people just look at and go, there's no way I won't even go there, and you'll get left behind, whether it's communicating with your grandkids or communicating with your kids or communicating with anybody in life and business. You've got to keep up with the times. You've got to keep up with technology. You've got to make adjustments like coaches do, and you make those adjustments periodically in your life every quarter, every 6 months, every year. You sit down, you write goals, make adjustments in order to be champions. P is preparation. You got to prepare to be a champion. It's not the will to win that matters. It's the will to prepare to win. And not many people have that. The will to prepare to win. When preparation meets opportunity, that's when success really happens. Preparation meets opportunity. If you're not prepared, when the opportunity comes, it passes you by. My dad used to preach that to me over and over again when I was a kid. I is integrity. You got to have integrity to be champions. Be who you say you are, and behind closed doors, out in public. And you know what? We all mess up. You know what? There's not one perfect person. You know what? There's not anybody in this room that would stand before any of us and go, examine my life completely and look at me and say, you can just look at everything I've got, because all of us struggle with something. But the way I look at it is, thank God, because that puts amazing back into grace. Me, I'm seen as him, because he paid it all for me. Opportunity to impact others is O, to be champions. You have an opportunity every single day to wake up in your business, in your life, to impact others. Not just to impact yourself or your family, but to go into the community and make a difference. If you're not doing that, I promise you, you're not getting true fulfillment out of life, because when you begin to serve others, guess what you do? You forget about yourself. You forget about yourself, your problems, your issues, and you focus on them instead of focusing on yourself. Isn't it amazing how now we have iPhones, iPads, everything is I now. And our kids are growing up in that type of generation. We need to show them that I is about impact, not about self. Never give up. Never give up. Never. Care what you go through, never give up. David, never give up. Just throw that lightning strike, right? Well, not now, but later on. Maybe it'll happen again. Never give up on your dreams, your aspirations. Never give up living. There's so many people as they get older or they have a bad setback in their life, they just quit. It's so stupid. Get past the failure. Get past the I feel sorry for myself, and just go live life. And don't give up. You know why? Because your life is more valuable than you could ever imagine. You were bought with a price. Therefore, go and do the things that will impact the world, and it'll change your life. Never give up what you think God's given you the abilities to do. Chase it. The only people that ever don't make it are the ones that give up. I'm just telling you. The greatest stories I love is the one, I think Sam Walton's this, right? Later in life. Success happens. I mean, I love those stories because to me, it's you just keep fighting, you keep going, You never give up on anything in life. In S, we're to be champions. My wife always says, marry me. Sarah is the reason why, but actually it's significance versus success. And my mouth is so dry, I just sound like I had a retainer in my mouth. Significance versus success. When we look at life, do we want to live a life of success or a life of significance? Your net worth is really not what makes you, it's your network that makes you. It's the people that you impact. And so my challenge to you, my challenge to myself, is for all of us to chase significance. Because when we chase significance, we end up very, very successful. Very, very successful. Let's be champions in life. Let me read this, and then I'm done. I probably don't have time for questions. I took all the time. But it was your introduction that got me. I'm just kidding. It's a great poem. It's called I Am a Winner by William Arthur Ward. And thank y'all for your time and your attention today. Let me come and share and talk about my family and my faith. I mean, I know it's such a crazy topic today, but you know, if I had a cure for cancer and I didn't share it with you, and I've got the cure for cancer. It's the worst cancer of them all. It's cancer of the heart. Man, I pray that at some point in time you'll realize that and God will work in your heart. I'm a winner because I think like a winner, prepare like a winner, and I perform like a winner. Because I set high but attainable goals, work toward those goals with determination and persistence, and never stop until I reach them. Because I'm strong enough to say no to those things that would make me less than my best, and to say yes to the challenges and the opportunities that will make me grow and improve my life. I'm a winner because of total commitment is my constant companion, and personal integrity is my lifetime mentor. I'm a winner because I'm learning to avoid the tempting shortcuts that can lead to disappointment and the unhealthy habits that can result in defeat. Because I have a well-earned confidence in myself and a high regard for my teammates, co-workers, and a healthy respect for those in authority over me. I'm a winner because I've learned to accept criticism, not as a threat, but as an opportunity to examine my attitudes and to improve my skills. I'm a winner because I persevere in the midst of obstacles and I fight on in the face of defeat. I am a winner because I'm made in the image and likeness of my Creator, who gave me a burning desire, a measure of talent, and a strong faith to attempt the difficult and to overcome the seemingly impossible. Because of my enthusiasm for life, my enjoyment of the present, and my trust in the future, I am a winner. God bless you. Good luck this weekend, and not too much luck, but it's going to be a great game. Thank you, and God bless.
Jay Barker, everybody. Thanks, Jay. Next week, Stephen Jones. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being here.